Hello everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day today. Today we're going to discuss your works are filthy rags and what that really means. A lot of folks get this twisted, and today I want to set the record straight on it. First of all, there is a huge difference between religious works, which are your works, and the works of the Holy Spirit through you. By the time Isaiah walked the earth, the Israelites had turned the law of Moses into a religion, and they had burdened the people down very hard. They also loved to boast about their works, and by the time Christ came around, it had gotten ridiculously out of hand. There were 613 commandments, and everybody had their own specialty. They made a big spectacle about praying in public and crying and fasting and letting everybody know how they were fasting and how they were suffering for God. They made it all about themselves, and God saw that as something nasty. The story of Rachel, the wife of Jacob, stealing her father's idols and hiding them in the camel's furniture is a reflection of what was to come. She said to her father, "Let not my Lord be angry that I cannot rise before you, for the manner of the woman is upon me." Rachel represents Israel, and she couldn't rise or ascend because she was sitting in her filth of religion. You remember the lying pen of the scribes in Jeremiah 8:8. They had created their own God. In Matthew chapter 9, you read the story about the lady who had been bleeding for 12 years. This lady represents Israel as well. 12 years equals 12 tribes, the 12 tribes of Israel. She said to herself, "If I only touch his garment, I will get well." Jesus turned to her and said, "Take courage, your faith has made you well." At once the woman was made well. You can see here that she looked to Christ for her healing, and in doing so, Christ turned to her. The word for faith here is pistis, and that word in Greek means God's divine faith. It's a faith that God gives. She was healed of her religious mindset and was set free. You can see in the book of Leviticus that they took a woman's period very serious. They had lots of cleaning and bathing rituals that they had to perform in order to be ceremonially clean. This is where baptism came from, because everyone that was baptized, everyone that come to know Christ, was ceremonially washed to be made clean from having touched the impurities of religion. Religion is all about ritual and routine and outward appearances. This is why the Apostle Paul wrote the way he wrote. Because of all the religious people, he had been one of the worst. He could recognize a religious spirit from a mile away. And he knew that it would only take one person with a religious spirit to contaminate something beautiful. This is why he wrote what he wrote in Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9. It says, "For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." He's speaking of the works of the law, religious works, ritual and routine, because he goes on to say in verse 10 that God has prepared works for us, which is the spiritual works of God working through us. I've had people tell me that preparing videos for YouTube and sharing my testimony and feeding and clothing hungry children are as filthy rags before the Lord. But I believe that if Christ is living his life through you, then you can't help but do those things and live in a life of love. If someone tells you that what Christ is doing through you is as filthy rags, then they are blaspheming the Holy Spirit. You see, I don't think or believe that feeding and clothing the hungry makes me righteous or holy before the Lord. It's simply Christ doing what he does. That's why if you boast, you always boast in the Lord, because you're boasting in his works through you, because you know that it doesn't come from you. Remember, the Greek word ego means I, me, myself. That's why it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. As with all things, history has repeated itself, and man again has created a religion out of something that was beautiful. Modern Christianity has created their own God. I pray that this upload has enlightened you. I love you all. God bless.